Well, guys, the Airbnb collapse is real and it's done. You might as well consider Airbnb gone as far as creating income, as far as putting people in houses, as far as being an Airbnb host, because Dallas, Texas, has came out 2 months ago and said there are no more Airbnbs in our city. That's it, guys. Unless you're grandfathered in a residential area, you cannot do Airbnbs in any residential area. But furthermore, to kind of support my theory here, September 5th, 2023, now New York City, New York says it is banned as well. We have two major cities that have said Airbnb is gone. And so in this video, I want to talk about some of the things that we can do to prevent ourselves from the collapse, and B, how many Airbnbs could you actually have? And is it a smart idea that we actually get into it now or wait? We're going to talk about that right now. That being said, my name is Investor Mike. If you guys could like the channel, 15% of people will actually push the like button for me. It allows me to put out free content so I can support you in your journey in your Airbnb building and or give you the knowledge you need so you know, do I move forward or do I not as a beginner? And do I get into this vicious cycle? That being said, I appreciate the thumbs up and the subscribes. Every one of them means a world to me and my team. Now, let's talk about this for a minute, because the reality is this. Two cities have said it's banned. There are 40,000 cities in America, guys. 40,000. Two of them had said, okay, we're banning it. That's about a 0.0000001%. Until Airbnb says they're completely done. Right now, they're in 163 countries. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry that has surpassed taxis, that has surpassed almost hotels. They are saying by 2026, it will actually surpass the revenue of hotels. So let me ask you a question. Because if you would have bought Bitcoin 10 years ago and you would have got it for, $50 a share, a coin, think about this. Where would you be at today? So what most people do is they're so hung up on, do I actually invest into something, or do I sit back on the sidelines and watch everybody else? It's the same thing with real estate, guys. If you'd have bought a house 15 years ago for $100,000, it's worth $300,000 now. The market is very high. In fact, the market is so high right now that guess what? There are more houses for sale and for rent than there are Airbnbs. So what does that mean for us as Airbnb hosts? I'm going to simplify it right here. The answer is absolutely get in the game. Stop sitting on the sideline and watching everybody else become successful while you're wondering, should I get in? It's not a disease, guys. This is not COVID. You can get into this business very easy with the 3 methods that I'm going to teach you right now. There are 3 ways that you can get into Airbnb. Some of them require no money at all. Some require a little bit of money and some require an investment. So let's talk about those 3 steps. Number 1 is called co-hosting. Okay. Now, co-hosting essentially just means this. You're going to reach out to homeowners through a website where you're going to say, hey, look, I know that you got an Airbnb and maybe you don't have the time or the energy or maybe you don't want to actually manage the property. So what I'm willing to do is take that off your hands for a fee of 20% of the gross revenue. Now, here's the thing. There is no risk to you if you are going to co-host because the property's not in your name. There's no money invested, and you can learn an amazing skill of basically managing Airbnbs. So cohostingmarket.com is where I would go if I was looking to become a co-host. That's the easiest way, okay? But I'm going to share something else about co-hosting that you probably didn't know. Number 2 is called rental arbitrage. Rental arbitrage is a simple way of saying this. It's the easiest way to get really into Airbnb with the least amount of money and really the highest upside financially, and that is this. As rental arbitrage, all we're doing is we're renting properties. We're not purchasing. We're renting a property from a homeowner who's already looking to rent his property and say, Mr. Homeowner, I would like to rent your property. Now, if you're watching this and you've ever rented a place before, guess what? You understand 99% of this business. You're just going to rent a place and you're going to get the landlord's permission. Mr. Landlord, could I put your property on short-term rental platforms like Airbnb, vrbo, bookings.com, Furnish Finder? Okay, you're going to do that through a legal addendum to the lease that he's already going to send you when you're looking to rent a place. So now we get this addendum signed. Okay, and now we have a legitimate business with the permission of the landlord to put the property and run it as a business as opposed to us and our family living in it. That's rental arbitrage. Your guests are gonna pay you. You're gonna put the property on Airbnb. There is no marketing required. So you spend zero money with marketing. You get into the property and you put it on Airbnb, vrbo, bookings.com, Furnish Finder, and the guests are what pay the rent and the utilities if you do it right. Okay? The money left over is what you keep and put in your pocket. That's rental arbitrage. The third way that you can get into Airbnb is actually purchasing a property. Why? Is that a good thing? Because you get the appreciation as the value of the property goes up. You also get the benefit of depreciation from the tax benefit from the property. However, you have to purchase a property, which means you have to have good credit, which means that you have to have a large down payment, generally 3 to 5%, depending on what loan you're going to get, sometimes 20% if it's an investment loan. So, a lot more money down, but you own the property. You don't have to get the property. You don't have to talk to a landlord and say, hey, can I put your property on Airbnb like you do with rental arbitrage? So if we are going into purchasing, larger down payment, okay? You don't have to get the landlord's permission. You own the property and you get the appreciation and depreciation. So here's what I teach my students, okay? Number one, if you don't start with co-hosting, first of all, let me say it this way. I don't recommend starting with co-hosting, and here's why. If you contacted a landlord and said, hey, look, love your property, and I know that you have other jobs going on, maybe you don't want to manage it. I'll do the day-to-day managing with the cleaners and and managing the people in and out of your property. However, when the landlord says to you, hi, Mike, tell me how many properties you have under management right now. Tell me your experience with managing properties in general, specifically Airbnbs, and can I call a couple of references? You're going to say, I don't have any right now, but I really know what I'm doing. I promise you, believe me, this will be the first time, and I'm hoping you'll be a guinea pig for me. And that's where the call ends. So what I recommend is starting with rental arbitrage, getting a property under your belt. Then if you want to go to co-hosting, you then have the background, the credibility of managing your own property. Then you can move to co-hosting. You understand? So that is what I recommend, and that's what I teach my students. Get into rental arbitrage, and then if you want to move to hosting, great. And then as you are doing rental arbitrage, which is very low barrier to entry, okay, then we can get into actually purchasing, because you can use the cash flow to use it from rental arbitrage to actually go to the next step up, which is purchasing properties and then putting those on Airbnbs where you are the owner of the property. You're not renting it. Okay, so those are the 3 steps of rental arbitrage, co-hosting, and actually owning the property. Now, let's talk about rental arbitrage, because there's really 2 methods here you need to learn. Rental arbitrage means we can go to a homeowner and we can ask the homeowner for their permission to put it on Airbnb. We can rent a single family house. Or what I'm doing now is called corporate leasing. This is where you don't need to use your social security number. You can use your EIN number as a corporate housing company. You are then going to go to apartment complexes, and you can pitch the apartment complex as long as they have something that says that it's okay to do subleasing and or corporate leasing. You can then pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 apartments at one time. So you see people that have, 50 units. You're like, how do these people have so many units? They're doing corporate leasing, guys. They're not doing single family houses. You see Airbnb hosts that have a lot of properties, it's generally corporate leasing, because you can pick up 3, 4, 5 at a time, right? So the same amount of work you're gonna do for a single family, why not pick up 5 apartments? For example, we picked up 5 apartments, right? Here's one of them. We picked up 5 apartments, luxury apartments here in Jacksonville, Florida. This property is about $2,300 per month for each unit. And they're somewhere doing between $4,000 to $5,000 a month in revenue. So you can get them in mass production, in scale, versus doing one at a time. Now, to be clear, I do recommend you start with one single family property first, get your feet wet, understand the business, and then go to corporate leasing. Okay, we don't want to scale chaos. You don't want to get 5 units, have no idea what you're doing, and then, scale it and have it fold like a fake $40 alligator suit, okay? Or a lawn chair. What you want to do is start with a single family house, run it for a month or 2, understand the process of the workings of how to run this business, and then we can then move to corporate leasing, which is where you can pick up, a 3-pack with cheese. That's the idea of how we're going to scale, and then we're just going to continue to go from there. All right, so let's talk about this for a minute. Now that we know that there's probably not going to be a collapse, And if you're still watching this, you understand that Airbnb, over 90% of cities right now in America, there's probably close to 40,000 cities, 90% of those are still in what they call green areas. So what I did is I put together a spreadsheet, and you'll see it in the description box. I put together a spreadsheet for you guys that has red, green, and yellow. Red means the zoning area is probably not a good area for you to start an Airbnb business, okay? Yellow means proceed with caution. You're probably going to need a vacation rental license or an STR license. There's going to be a couple restrictions. You have to pay a small fee and then county, and they'll let you. Green means pretty much you are good to go based on the data that we gathered from the zoning departments that there's not going to be any issues with doing an Airbnb in that city or county. You go in the description box, it's called the cities report. You'll see that. You'll be able to look in different areas. Okay, now, also, one thing that's very important is AirDNA did a report. Okay, if you just listen to what I'm saying here, go and Google this message right here. Top 25 cities in the United States to start a vacation rental in 2023. This is going to give you the top 25 cities based on data, based on seasonality, investability, based on the area, occupancy, average dollar per rate per night. You guys are going to have the top 25 cities out of 40,000 cities that the research has already done. So I would Google that, find the AirDNA article, and guess what? Now you have an opportunity to go to one of them cities and you don't have to do a lot of the research because the due diligence is already done for you. When you're finding an apartment or you're finding a property to Airbnb, here's one of the tips. Look for the 4 H's. Number 1, you want to look for hotels. Number 2, you want to look for hotels. Number 3, you want to look for hotels. I'm kidding. Number 1, hotels. Number 2, hospitals. Number 3, H2O. And number 4, hills. Okay, if you're by a hospital, you're going to get traveling nurses, doctors, and chiropractors, and families that want to stay close to their loved ones while they're in surgery. If you're by hills, you're going to have skiers, hikers, mountaineers, that type of outdoorsy area. If you're by water, everybody likes water. I'm talking about if the property has a pool, a hot tub, if there's a lake behind it, if there's an ocean, if there's a river, people like water. If you put Airbnb by these areas, you will do well. And lastly, you want to be by hotels. They've already done the research and due diligence to say this is where we're going to place our multi-million-dollar hotel because we expect tourists to come in here, and if there's a lot of people traveling in to this area, then it's likely if you have an Airbnb by that, you're going to do really well. Now, a lot of people ask me, can you make money or how much can I make on Airbnb? That answer is like saying how much is a house? Everybody's skill set is different. Everybody's education level is different, and everybody has a different amount of properties. Right? So it's an arbitrary question to say, how much money can I make? The better question would be, how motivated are you? How much time are you willing to put into it? And how willing are you to scale to a lot of units? The people that have more units generally do well because they figured out the first one that it was cash flowing, that now they can move on to property 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay? But if you don't get that first one right, you're never going to want to go to number 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Do you want to keep losing money? Well, guess what? I really like losing money on the first property, so let's add another 3 to 4 to it so that we can bleed out completely. Now, I will tell you this, and this is probably not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. Most people fail in Airbnb. Let me say that again. Most people fail. The reason they fail, because they don't understand the property market, they don't understand the property research, and so they pick the wrong property. If you pick the wrong property, you're dead in the water because you're going to be bleeding out trying to pay the rent and utilities every single month. Okay, so what do we do? Okay, I can help you with this, guys. Okay, I've got property. I understand the markets. I understand where my students are. I understand what a property needs to look like and what market it should be in to increase occupancy, which is the how many times in a month that somebody is going to stay at your place, and increase the ADR, which is the average daily rate per night. When you learn these 2 metrics and you master them, you can then really quickly understand how this business makes money or loses money. Okay, so I'll put a link down below. You can join me this Thursday. If you click the link below, I'm doing a free training. It's gonna be absolutely bonkers. It's a training everybody's been trying to get onto all year about beginner style, literally opening up the curtains and pulling back and saying, this is exactly what you need to get into an Airbnb business. I mean, I'm gonna open up the damn curtain so you guys can like peek in and be like, wow. Okay, I'm dropping bombs bigger than bombs in Baghdad, okay? Number 2, you can just book a one-on-one with me if you want. Okay, if you don't want to be in group setting, just book a one-on-one with me directly, not with a team member, and you'll see the link in the description as well. Okay, by the way, if you have not subscribed to the channel yet and hit the like button, please be one of the 20%, 15 to 20% that are actually doing this. It means the world to me and my organization, and we can continue to do free videos for you with those subscribes and likes. Thank you so much. Now, I want to talk about one more thing before we go. How serious are you about actually starting an Airbnb business? Because if you made it this far right now, I would assume that you're pretty serious about saying, you know what? I like the Airbnb business, but I don't want to do it wrong. See, if you do it wrong, you're never going to want to scale to more units. If that first one is a golden goose, guess what? It's time to scale. And now we can scale based on a solid platform versus scaling on quicksand. You don't want to scale chaos and then have your hair pulled out and you're managing all these properties and you're like, right? I can show you how to automate the process, get a profitable property for the first one. Every 45 to 60 days, I'm teaching my students how to get a second one. Okay, and then we're automating it so that you can scale to multiple properties without scaling your time. Okay, with our portfolio, we're not, as we scale more units, we're not scaling our time because we're using software. And I'll show you what that connection looks like, that API connection. I'll show you how to get on the first page. I'll show you how to do the title. I'll show you how to do the listing. I'll show you what pictures are going to make sense as your profile picture when you put it up on Airbnb, and really how to get the process started to getting that first property. Here's what I'll tell you. I actually will help you on a phone, okay? The first 3 people that book a call with me right now, I'm gonna help you guys. Actually, me and you, on the phone with a landlord, so I can do the pitch for you, so you can listen in, because I'm not gonna feed a man to fish, I'm gonna teach a man to fish. And if I can do this for you to get you into that first property, I am certain 1000% that you'll wanna scale, because now we're building it the right way. I'll help you mitigate these risks so you don't lose your money and your assets that you created and worked very hard for. That's the name of the game. The first one gets right, sky's the limit how many you can get. My name is Investor Mike from the Airbnb Blueprint. Subscribe, like, and then down below in the description box, you'll see the 3 things I talked about. I will see you on the call. I love each and every one of you guys, and thank you for being part of our team. Let's roll.